Welcome back to Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I am your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm really pleased to have with me for the first time Darrell MacMullin. Darrell is the president and CEO of BitGold, and he has driven successful new payment and commerce innovations for the past 15 years, including the launch and leadership of PayPal during his first 8 years in Canada. And Darrell has worked closely both as an advisor and investor with entrepreneurs, developers, and industry partners to accelerate the growth of fintech payments and commerce experiences. And he has provided thought leadership and innovation expertise for the convergence of online, mobile, and offline into one commercial stream with government, banks, and new fintech companies. And prior to PayPal, Darrell was a part of the successful launches of rapid growth of eBay and Chapters Indigo online into leading commerce players. So I'm really pleased to have Darrell with me today. Thanks for joining me, Darrell.
Jay, it's great to talk to you and pleasure to be here.
It's really great to talk to you, having had experience of talking to Roy Sabag and James Turk in the past. Roy suggested, in fact, the last time we talked that I should have you on the show, so here you are. You have a very successful background, as I just noted, you with household name companies. What convinced you to join a little-known company like BitGold?
It's funny. I've heard that a lot, and I laugh every time I hear that because I feel like this is actually my fourth time through this rodeo. Every company that I've gone to, I saw the opportunity for them to change an industry. And, I remember early on, working with one of the very first e-commerce companies and explaining to people the notion of what e-commerce was, and people didn't get it at first. Now obviously things like buying books online is a very, very simple process. I remember explaining eBay for the first time to people who never heard of it before, this whole idea of gamifying used goods and being able to, purchase online something, you're going to pay someone for their used goods and they're going to have it shipped to you. And it just seemed like a bizarre concept for people at the time. And even PayPal, early on, no one knew what PayPal was yet, and having to explain to people this notion of an internet wallet that could transform and simplify how electronic payments could work at the time. And I see no different here at BitGold. In fact, I think the opportunity that presents itself in front of BitGold is significantly bigger than any one of those opportunities that worked on in the past. And it builds on a lot of things that have evolved over time. I mean, if you think of commerce in general, it's very different today than it was 5 years ago, and it's going to be very different from today 5 years from now. And I think as the internet makes its way everywhere, all of that money that will move into kind of an electronic method, we're looking at ways how to create the easiest way possible to be able to provide a true global currency.
Well, I mean, that's really saying something. If you think the opportunities here are even bigger and greater potentially than some of the places where you've worked before. I mean, we think of eBay and PayPal. These are giants. These are huge companies. They did make a huge difference in the way we transact business and the way we live our lives even. Always whenever you have some sort of major breakthrough like this, there are people that are hurt, there are people that are helped. Who gets helped and who gets hurt in BitGold?
Well, we certainly aspire to be a true customer champion for consumers and merchants around the world. I mean, we have a lot to do to get there. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're very excited about the path forward. We believe we can be one of the leaders to enable the next generation of transactions for global commerce. If we think of, there's kind of three different things that BitGold is trying to establish here, and I call it kind of a three-horizon framework. The first thing that we're looking at, in terms of just for your users who may not know or understand what BitGold is, so essentially we use technology to make access to gold very simple. So BitGold is an online payments and savings platform that utilizes physical gold bullion as its unit of account. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking the best of the old in terms of money, and that being gold, and the best of the new technology in terms of mobile and cloud connectivity to create a very safe, secure, global debit system that allows essentially anyone to efficiently store and exchange value. using gold.
All right. You're basically, I mean, you're not just a commercial, you're not just a consumer enterprise. You're also looking for commercial transactions. For example, I know one that stands out in my mind that Roy Sabag, a hypothetical, I want to ask you about it. An example that he gave me of why you reduce the friction using gold money in a BitGold account. He gave the example of, he said, let's suppose we had a tomato farmer in India who sold his tomatoes to a grocery chain in Japan. And he went through, he said all the needs of, the sort of friction that you have in a normal transaction, the way things are today, the way things are the way this transaction would be made is the Japanese grocer doesn't need to go to buy dollars from his bank. And there's no need to have dollars sent from that bank to the farmer's bank in India. There's no need to take the dollars in India and transfer them into rupees. And there's no need to wait for 2 or 3 days for settlement. So you avoid all of those friction points, I guess. Is that right? And is that sort of commercial transaction something that is possible anytime soon?
That's a good way of putting it. I mean, I don't know, Jay, either yourself or I'm sure a lot of your listeners at some point or another have had to make an international payment or had to accept an international payment. It's slow, it's cumbersome. There's some additional risk and certainly some additional cost associated with the whole process. So, the first thing that BitGold does is essentially attempts to take the foreign out of exchange. So, by having essentially a closed-loop system that's backed on one currency, you're using gold as a rail, right? So there's a couple different ways of thinking of BitGold. The very first thing that we've done is we've established a network that has reinvented the gold buying and selling process. So you can very simply, anyone around the world can get onto the platform for free, connect via their bank account or credit card, and be able to purchase physical gold very, very seamlessly and effectively. But maybe you don't care about gold. What you're trying to do is you're exchanging value with someone, as you kind of outlined an example there. And that can be a person-to-person transfer. So if you think of person-to-person payments, we're all becoming much more global citizens, right? We either have family abroad, or we're traveling abroad, we're doing business more abroad. Person-to-person payments, that's a $600 billion industry that's growing nearly 20% year over year. And there's no kind of clear winner that's in that space. I mean, there's the incumbents of like the Western Unions and MoneyGrams of the world. And there's a lot of newer entrants like the TransferWise and World Remits and Zooms and all these different companies that attempt to create an experience to allow people to be able to move personal payments. But they all kind of sit on top of the central bank stack, right? So they're all kind of attempting to doing the same thing, where you're going from currency X to currency Y and you're going through a crosshair. So you're having to pay some sort of a foreign exchange spread. And then you're having to pay some sort of money exchange service. To give you an idea, the average transaction size is about $200 for person-to-person payments, which sounds low, but if you're, say, for instance, a Filipino nanny in North America and you're looking to send money back to the Philippines, $200 is a month's salary for someone there.
Sure.
And so the challenge on moving that money, the average cost for all of these services today is about 7 to 8%. Between the foreign exchange and whatever money exchange service you're using. And the reason why is there's just so many parties involved, right? You've got multiple currencies, you've got multiple banks, you have multiple settlement systems, and an exchange service on top of that. If all I'm really trying to do is exchange value for someone, I mean, I just did it the other day with my sister. I have a sister in Australia, and it was her birthday, so I decided, instead of sending her money through a traditional way, I sent her some gold. And how that worked is I bought gold with Canadian dollars. I send her the value of my gold, the BitGold platform. She can either choose to keep gold, or in this case, maybe she doesn't care about gold. What she cares about is her brother sending her a few $100s.
Sure.
And so she instantly can sell that gold for Australian dollars and move that back to her bank account. that entire process, she can receive those funds for 1% and move that back to her cash. You can move gold on our platform from one person to another for free. So
in the case of the nanny here, if both sides had gold accounts, BitGold accounts, they could move it. She could make that payment for free.
Correct.
Okay.
And so I'll use another example. I love talking to customers. I think it's fascinating. Almost every day I discover a new use case and how people are using the platform. Probably two of the more interesting ones I've heard recently. One, a guy here in North America, he has his daughter going to private school in London. And I won't name the bank, but he works with one of the world's banks, or a global bank. But even through that process, he sends money over to her every month for her housing and her private school expenses and stuff like that. And he gets dinged still 7%, the total landed cost moving money from North America to the UK. He got his daughter to sign up for a BitGold account. He has a BitGold account. He sends her gold that he has for free. She has a Gold Money prepaid card that we offer to users that's linked to her BitGold account, and she can automatically spend that gold as British pounds locally for only 1%. So he can now move money from point A to point B for 1%.
For 1%. That's where BitGold makes its money?
Yeah, BitGold makes its money. We provide a very seamless way to get into gold and to get out of gold, and essentially it's a very transparent and simple pricing. It's 1% within the spot price of when you want to purchase from any currency into gold, and 1% to move out of gold to the fiat currency of your choice.
So let's get back to this hypothetical tomato farmer in India. Selling his goods to the grocery store in Japan. Is that what sort of margins would BitGold make 1% on both sides of that trade?
Correct. So I mean, there's a couple ways of looking at it. So if a person, or in that example, that's a business-to-business transaction.
Sure.
If neither one of them has a gold balance or want to have a gold balance, what they want to do is cost-effectively be able to move money from point A to point B. One person, the person that's paying the invoice, can buy gold for 1%, send the transfer. If you want to compare that, let's just use a traditional. How would that be done under a traditional format? Pretty much, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. Processing a credit card is 2 to 3% roughly.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then if you're doing a cross-border transaction, it might be an additional 1% fee or 0.5% cross-border premium. And then someone is paying a foreign exchange conversion as well. So they're either doing the buyers having to convert their funds to the seller's invoice or vice versa. So all in, it's usually about 5 to 6% to process the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So with this end here, if I have a gold balance, I'm just sending that for free. Then the person on the other end just wants to withdraw that money back to their account for 1%.
Okay. All right. Well. So it seems as though you have a competitive advantage. I mean, what really sort of, I'm a gold bug really, and mm-hmm. So at first, what excites me as an investor in Gold Money, the parent company of BitGold, what excites me is the fact that this has appeal to people who may actually hate gold. They may think that gold is, that barbaric relic that Keynes told us it is.
Well, there's two things. There's people who love gold, and now we're adding all that utility that people said never existed as part of gold. So It actually makes it a true usable form of currency. And then there are other people, and there are many people around the world that have never really had access to gold like this before. And once they start discovering the capabilities that it has, they discover, I would much rather earn gold than my local currency. I mean, if you think of what money is supposed to represent, money represents your stored labor.
Sure.
Right? And if that's the case, I would certainly want to store my labor in a currency that preserves its value over time or minimizes my volatility. Example, I was in the fall, I was in Las Vegas at Money 2020, which is kind of the epicenter for innovation and payments around the world in terms of a conference. And I met this guy who was a startup in Vegas, and it was a funny story because I was walking along, going to lunch with an executive from one of the banks, and he saw me and he comes up and he hugs me and he's like, "You're one of the BitGold guys." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I discovered your platform a little while ago. I'm a startup here in the U.S., but I have developers in Russia and Belarus and Chile and in Argentina." And I was paying them in their local currencies for their wages, and with the Russian ruble down 30%, the Chilean dollar down, they're getting less value for their labor than they did even 6 months ago, and so they were complaining about that, and so I started paying them in U.S. dollars. And the problem with paying them in U.S. dollars is they still had to pay almost 10% to convert and be able to use locally. And he discovered our platform, and he said to them, "Would you want to get paid in gold?" And everyone's like, "Absolutely. Why would I want to get paid?" These people get and understand around the world. Gold is very universal in terms of its understanding and its value and its preservation of wealth. Just the accessibility hasn't been there until now.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they're obviously seeing the benefit in being able to get paid in gold and earn their labor in gold.
All right, so we're talking about an electronic payment system so far. If you get your gold in your BitGold account, you can either cash it out, sell it, and exchange it into local currency. But you can also, as I understand, Darrell, is you can take delivery of the gold. And so let me ask you, in my BitGold account, when I buy gold and then put grams of gold in my BitGold account, is it my gold and I can take possession of it if I like?
Yep, great question. So when you're purchasing gold on our platform, what you are buying physical gold bullion that is stored in vaults. We have vault locations around the world. As a user, you get to choose where you want to have your gold. Do you want it to sit in New York? Do you want it to sit in Toronto? Do you want it in London, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai? Your choice. And when you own that gold, you wholly own that gold. So we have our customers' gold in a separate cage. It's not commingled with corporate funds, or there's no counterparty. We're not leaning or leveraging against any of that. You wholly own that. It is the vault operations are run by Brinks. I think the beautiful part of this business is we're leveraging existing infrastructure, but using it in a whole new way. And so now you have physical gold that's sitting in a vault, and you can instantly transfer that value to someone else. The physical gold itself doesn't have to move. The platform can exchange the value as to who it actually goes to. But if you, to your point, if you want to say, hey, I actually want a percentage of my gold or all of my gold in a physical form delivered to me. So we do have what's quickly becoming the famous BitGold 10-gram cubes. They're starting to be a bit of a collectible item for people. But so you can redeem as little as 10 grams in that form. But we've also announced a recent relationship that has expanded that to provide all sorts of different items, whether it be bars, coins, whether you're looking for a Canadian maple leaf or an American eagle or a cougaran. We can facilitate the delivery of any of those items for you as well.
All right, and I suppose there's a charge, though, to have those specific products sent to you. I mean, what would be the charge?
There's a shipping and insurance charge, obviously, that it's managed. Everything's done using a courier service, so everything is tracked, and we obviously monitor the ability to transport those as cost-effectively as possible. Okay,
how do I... to get started for listeners that are out there, where do they go? They go to bitgold.com. How do they get gold into their BitGold account? So I guess it's easy enough to open a BitGold account. Then what can you use? You can transfer money from your bank to buy gold, or how does it work?
Yeah. So as a user, it is free to sign up for a BitGold account. You can log onto the platform. And, there's this journey that customers have with us where they log on for free, they start understanding how the process works. They can use their credit card, their debit card, or they can link directly to their bank account or brokerage account and instantly purchase gold in their currency and start building a gold position. Some people do it opportunistically once in a while. what we've seen a lot of people start doing is set up a reoccurring deposit. So they just want to start building essentially an alternative savings account. They want to be able to save and preserve their wealth. And so you can very quickly say, I want to move $50 a week from my bank account into my BitGold account and have that as kind of an alternative savings account for me. Or in some people, they're looking at it not as their alternative, but as their primary savings account. So yeah, we connect with many different form factors, like I said, to be able to move money in. And then we also offer someone the ability to not only move that back to their bank account, but we have a prepaid MasterCard. So you can instantly have access to your gold balance by selling any of your gold into the currency you want. So maybe you're based in New York, but you're traveling to Italy for a month. And you have a gold balance. You can get a gold money card in euros, and when you're over in Italy, you can instantly sell your gold for euros and not having to pay the foreign exchange. You can go up to an ATM and actually pull out euros as cash. You have that flexibility in how you want to have access to your funds.
All right, Darrell, I know I have one of those BitGold, prepaid BitGold MasterCard accounts. Yep. And Mrs. Taylor was able to buy some perfume online yesterday using it. I was, however, not able so far to use it when I went to buy a tank of gas here locally in New York City. And the explanation I was given might be that a lot of the gas stations just aren't taking prepaid cards. I think that may be the case. Is that something? I mean, how widespread can I take this down here in New York City and go to a restaurant and use it?
I've traveled with my gold money card. I've been throughout the United States, throughout Europe, and throughout here in Canada, and I've used it quite a bit. I mean, certain merchants for sure, from a risk standpoint, if they've never seen that card before, or maybe they have certain policies on types of cards that they use or accept. Generally speaking, though, this is a MasterCard, so wherever a MasterCard is accepted, it should be, for the most part, be able to be used.
Unfortunately, we're out of time already. I can't believe it, but let me, I am an investor as well in Gold Money, the parent company of BitGold, and wanted to ask you something about that.
Sure.
There really isn't much time left, but a company like yours, you're going to be spending most of the cash flow that comes in probably to gain to let people know about your service, right? It's a marketing story as much as anything right now. When do you think investors might look forward to seeing some positive cash flows so you don't have to keep going back and raising capital to keep growing?
Yeah, well, I think we're actually very, very excited where we're at. So BitGold obviously is very uniquely positioned to provide better technology, better economics, and a better payments experience for global commerce. We are less than a year old. We already have users in 150 countries with over 700,000 users. So there's more than 2,000 users that are joining the platform every day. So it's growing very, very fast, and will continue to grow very fast with the vast opportunity in front of us. We're excited as to the journey, as I mentioned earlier, as customers start becoming more and more familiar with us. They start off by saying, oh, I get it, I can buy gold very easily. Then they realize, oh, this is a much better way to save my wealth. So they start moving more and more money in a recurring payments down, or recurring savings. And now we're starting to see the transactions take off. They're realizing, oh, this is just a better way to transact and whatnot. So the value within the ecosystem is continuing to expand. And one of the things we just launched this past week in a beta form is BitGold for Business. So we are starting to open up tools for businesses to be able to invoice for their goods and services in gold and transact in e-commerce. So I expect to see an exponential growth in the value for each user and just in the overall network.
All right, really sorry we're out of time. We want to ask you and get you back again sometime soon so we can ask you more about the potential for investors, because that is also, I think, very, very exciting from my point of view. Thank you very much for being with us today, Darrell, and look forward to doing it again.